up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne Young with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. China is publicizing internship opportunities for Taiwanese students. Amid cross-strait tensions, this is raising alarm bells in Taiwan, with some calling them part of China's United Front tactics. Cadence Quaranta reports.
This summer, hundreds of Taiwanese students may have been offered internships in China, with around 280 internship spots, largely with Chinese state-owned enterprises, being publicized online, providing free room and board and a daily stipend. Some are warning these opportunities are part of China's attempts to influence Taiwan, part of Beijing's United Front strategy.
有别于过往，不只是吃喝玩乐交流，还砸钱吸引台湾青年赴中国实习，提醒年轻人要停、看、听，避免落入统战的圈套。
The internships are part of a Chinese program that started in 2016. It's reportedly part of Beijing's wider efforts to sway Taiwanese young people, including through summer camps, tours, and other activities, largely paid for by the Chinese government, that advance its propaganda. Some within Taiwan's education industry say that given rising tensions across the Taiwan Strait, they wouldn't help promote these internships to students.
大概在去年，大概就全面都断绝这个学术交流的管道了。包括我们老师现在如果要去参加大陆的学术交流，我们都也很谨慎。如果是国际性的，我们 OK。但是如果是大陆他主办的一些学术研讨会，我们大概教育部都建议我们不要去了。
Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, which manages relations with China, has in the past warned against these tactics, though it was not willing to provide a comment on these internships specifically when asked by TaiwanPlus. It's unclear how many Taiwanese students will actually participate in these internships, which will run until early August. But it's another example of China stepping up its efforts to influence Taiwan. John Su and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Australia and the U.S. are co-hosting this year's Talisman Sabre military exercise in Australia. With more than 35,000 troops from 19 countries taking part, it's the largest ever. The exercise started last week, coinciding with Taiwan's Hanguang exercise, raising questions about what these drills mean for peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific. And to find out, our defense reporter Alan Liu spoke to former Pentagon official Tony Hu.
This year's Talisman Sabre is the largest to date, with 19 participating countries and 3 observers. Why are more nations choosing to join?
I think the reason is because there is a growing threat from China, and most of these Asia-Pacific countries do not have an opportunity to exercise together. So this Talisman Sabre gives them exercise to work together and learn to fight together if and when it's necessary. So also this year's exercise involves all domain warfare. This is something that all the countries want to learn. In addition to the air, land, and sea activities, there will also be space and cyber domains being exercised. I think many of the country wants to learn what is that all about, and so we see a huge increase in participants.
Since you mentioned China, I wonder what Talisman Sabre is specifically preparing for. Is there any threats or scenarios it's meant to deter?
Because during the past decade, China has increased its influence in the South Pacific, an area that traditionally has been the domain of Australia and New Zealand. If you recall, a Chinese Navy task group circumnavigated Australia in February this year, February and March, and even conducted a live fire exercise off the coast of Australia. So this aggressive act was, although it's tried to intimidate Australia, instead I think it has increased Australia's awareness of the China threat, and it also caught the attention of the Australia's South Pacific neighbors.
With growing participation in Talisman Sabre, do you think Taiwan should be considering joining, at least as an observer first?
It is unlikely Taiwan will be officially invited to join as a participant, but I do believe Taiwan should request to be an unofficial observer because it is important for Taiwan to understand how coalition warfare is conducted so that when it's necessary, Taiwan knows how to fit in to a coalition activity.
What are some of the lessons Taiwan could learn from Talisman Sabre after comparing Hanguang to it?
It is important for Taiwan, the people of Taiwan, to recognize that other countries have tried to appease China, But appeasement never works because China doesn't live up to its agreement. Therefore, it's important to be strong, because it's only when you're strong you can negotiate from a fair process versus just being dictated to.
That was Tony Hu, a military expert who has worked for the U.S. Air Force and the Pentagon. A weaving workshop in eastern Taiwan is bringing historic ethnic patterns back to life, and with these motifs, a way of life that's disappeared. John Van Trieste has the story.
In the small township of Fonglin, near Taiwan's east coast, people are reclaiming a century-old heritage of making cloth by hand. Spurring the movement is Li Meiling, a lover of textiles and weaving. At first, Li's interest was in the rich, living traditions of indigenous handicrafts native to this part of Taiwan. But gradually, she started asking herself whether her own ancestors, the Hakka people who migrated here later on, had their own weaving traditions. What would her own great-grandparents have worn? Over a decade of research on historic garments later, she now has a good idea.
这一件就很特别，它是清朝末年的，然后它的是我们目前采集到花纹最漂亮、最繁复，所以它一串上面就会有3个以上的图文，然后非常的美丽。
Hakka weaving, as she's found out, tends to be subtle and plain, with patterns mostly relegated to the edges of clothes. With survival most people's prime concern, only the wealthy could splurge on fancier items like these. But what decoration there is elegant, restrained, and painstaking. This 20-centimeter strip of decoration took 3 days to weave. And it isn't simple. It's been so long since people wove these motifs by hand that Li and her team have had to use an app to help analyze how it would have been done. Meanwhile, they've also had to get familiar with a range of plant dyes, how to make them, and how to get it so the thread takes the right shade. These days, Li and partners have a community workshop that teaches Hakka weaving, especially to people in retirement. Though the average age of the learners here is around 80, even they don't remember a time when this kind of clothing was commonplace. But they long wanted to do more to document and promote the style, and now they have. Since 2020, Li's been collecting Hakka patterns for decorating women's clothing, and she has now put them together into a book with other tidbits of Hakka culture and language mixed in. The 12 types of historic motifs featured in the book include floral, bird, nature, and even text-based designs, all recreated with modern tools.
其实最想要记录的是我们当时候怎么从学织布到寻找自己的客家文化，然后再从100多年前的客家传统服饰上面采到我们以前客家织女的图文这样子。其实它里面也牵涉到我们花东的客家移民啊文化故事。
Local Hakka weavers have showcased the craft in London with a special appearance at the 2023 London Craft Week. And back in the community too, they have plans to bring back not just weaving, but more a way of life, by reintroducing the cotton plants used to make the thread and more.
第一个社区地图专门弄成一个类似观光景点这样，示范走，又走得走一些成品，贩售怎么来他们走得安尼。
The aim is a full chain of education and experience so that this renewed form of weaving once again becomes a part of this community's everyday life. Devin Tsai and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow us on social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out athletes from around the world competing in the World Dragon Boat Racing Championships in Germany. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.